My backpacking teacher in college was an older man with a giant belly. Guidebooks from the 70s and 80s lined his shelves, and he welcomed anyone to borrow them. I hate to say this, but he smelled like he was dying from the inside out, the way that vegetables left in the fridge too long do. He'd been a river guide in the Grand Canyon for decades. He loved the intelligence of animals, and he told us about the smartest raven in the Grand named Crookbeak. Crookbeak stole from the guests and guides, and used tools and trickery to build a collection of human treasures. Crookbeak was a legend. On our overnight camping trip, when we showed up with our school backpacks stuffed with thrift store sleeping bags, or, in my case, a flimsy external frame my dad used once in the 80s, my teacher didn't say a thing. I don't think that he noticed. It was obvious he came from an era of outdoor recreation where the equipment was purely a means to the experience of being outside. Our lesson on outdoor cooking consisted of him sitting in front of a giant tin pot of boiling water, while we all unwrapped dozens of packages of chicken and beef ramen noodles. He pulled out Costco-sized packages of variety lunch meats and a brick of cheese, and set a few of us up with cutting boards. He had us chop big square cubes of cheese on a pavilion table. The lunch meat was cut the same way. 3-inch stacks sliced into square towers, like the needles in Canyonlands. It was all about the fractures. He dumped a bunch of soy sauce and hot sauce into the mixture, cooked the noodles till they were soggy, and told us to eat up. The lunch meat and cheese cubes were toppings. We all got a bowl, but only one boy took seconds. Later, when I told my friend at work about our outdoor cooking lesson, I laughed so hard I couldn't get the story out. On our overnight camping trip, we slept in dirt among frisbee-sized cow pies in a river bottom in the desert. The next morning, when a kid was out digging a cat hole and got startled by a venomous Mojave rattlesnake, our teacher rounded us all up to go look at it. He kept calling the angry snake beautiful. On the hike back up the hill to our cars, he had to stop and catch his breath a lot. He was the last one to crest the hill. Another kid found a horned lizard, or a horny toad. The lizard was still cold from the night before and was slow and docile. We took turns holding the miniature dinosaur. Our teacher loved the little guy. By the time we let him go, he scurried away, heated by our warm-blooded palms. If that was all that I ever learned about the desert, it would have been enough. When my teacher told us about one of his solo trips through the wilderness, of Idaho or maybe Wyoming, the one where he saw Sasquatch, the kids in my class left with smirks and laughter. But during that hour, the room was silent, aside from the labored breathing of our teacher retelling how, as a young man, he saw 2 giant dark figures walking upright through a meadow, deep in the trailless backcountry, and how he turned around and hiked 2 days out to the road, cutting his trip a week short. I don't know if I believe in Sasquatch, but I believe my teacher saw them. 2 erect, upright figures with arms swinging at their size bigger than any man. I believe in Crookbeak and Mojave rattlesnakes, horned toads, throwing random stuff in a pot and calling it dinner, and I believe in the desert. Above everything, I believe in the desert.